Today on Nova Legends podcast, I have Lewis coach John Millward, whose Lancers yesterday just won the Occoquan Region in a thrilling game against Woodson, a tough Woodson team. The Lancers also won the national district, I believe, right, Coach?
Yes, sir.
And this is the undefeated team, and they have a huge showdown against a very talented and athletic Herndon team. Coach, congratulations. Thanks for doing this.
Hey, thank you so much. And man, the boys put in some work last night against a very, very strong Woodson side.
Yeah, it was incredible. Well, let's get philosophical here. When you took this job at Lewis, could you imagine 10, 15 years later? I forgot how long you've been there, coach. You'd look up in the stands, you have 1,000 people there, you'd have all that energy, you'd be coaching. I'm buddies with Joe Margito on the McLean team, and I was describing your team. I mean, this team plays high level soccer like you'd see on MLS Next or ECNL field. This is a high level team. Did you ever think you'd be in this situation at Lewis?
It's been a real blessing and a ride to be on, right? And trying to really develop this culture, really try to drive towards, really what we're living up to right now. This is obviously pinnacle's a very strong word, but this is really what, the aspirations really have kind of all come together on. And, it's a joy to kind of reflect on, right? I'm not really trying to look back at the moment because we're still in it. But just really seeing the pieces come together, seeing the boys believe, seeing the crowds, seeing the community believe, and bring joy to them on a Friday night. Like, it's why we do this job. And again, it's a credit to my staff, my team, my administration at the school, and what they do for these boys day in and day out. I'm blessed to be able to spend time with them and work with them here over these short 3 months.
Yeah, I've got to know your principal and some of the other folks in administration, and I had no idea what the team means to the school. In 1981, at the time, Lee won the state championship in basketball, and they were the last Northern Virginia team to win the state championship, Northern Region team, which is Arlington, Fairfax, Alexandria, in 27 years. And so this team became mythical. And it was a real source of pride in the community. But at the time, Lee was good in other sports too. I mean, this basketball team was special, but they had they had a decent football team. They were good in baseball. It wasn't, but this Lewis team's a little different. I think you've been to the state. This is the fourth year you've been to the state in a row, Coach.
Yes, sir.
With the final last year, lost in penalties. So you did enough to almost win the championship. What do you think the team means to the school?
I think it's a great relationship. The boys really play hard, especially at home. Really play hard for their team or their teammates and their school. And really, it's a sense of pride. These just again the sport itself is ingrained in the culture at the school. And both the homes as well as just everybody's talking about UCL games and all the UCL stuff and all that fun. But to be able to put it in practice and really kind of show progress, show results, show trophies in the trophy case that aren't dated from the 80s and 90s is really impressive. Last night was the second regional title in program history. And before we got on the bus to head over to TJ, we made a point to go into the gym and talk about legacies and what lasting legacies are. And we have a sophomore forward whose dad played at Lewis or Lee at the time, right? And back in the late 90s, and he didn't have the opportunity to put numbers on the banner, but this young man did, and so he was smiling about that maybe one day his kid could come in and see the numbers that he worked hard to put up in the gym. So that as long as this school is standing, these banners will be here.
Yeah, well, it's unbelievable what you've accomplished. When you look at this team, when my son played against you a couple of years ago, you had Steven Velasquez at right back. You had some really nice midfielders, tall. You had Bayron was an amazing goalie. And I remember when I watched that team, I'm like, well, we'll never have a team like this again. Because I just felt like the team was high level. And it's interesting because every year you lose people, which is what happens in high school. But I feel like you have more quality on this pitch than you've ever had. And it's weird. I remember thinking, he'll never have a team like this again. And every position you had and we'll get to the game in depth in a minute, but you had your holding midfielder knock heads with Moad, your amazing midfielder who I just love. He was out. You brought you brought in Sam Reyes, which you'll understand as a sophomore. He scored the winning goal. He played almost the rest of the game. So I was like, well, how can you take this kid come in? He wasn't even on the starter. And he played like he was calm and cool. I was just, I mean, that just shows you that substitution and the fact that he stuck with him most of the rest of the game, and he got the winning goal. And then I know you had this Arnaldo Reyes moved back to right back, did a tremendous job on Alex Garrison yesterday, blocked so many shots and crosses. And I think he's more of an attacking player, but he did a phenomenal job in defense. I mean, you know, Elias Rodriguez, Golasso, there's quality, and I'm leaving people out. I know
Right.
you just quality all over the pitch. How would you, in your own words, compare this team to some of the other teams that you've had?
Well, I mean, first off, right, I mean, the credit goes to the local clubs, right? They're developing such, talented individuals, and and that's the beauty of high school, right? You get all these various clubs and the various training methodologies that all come together, right? And it's our job as a staff to really integrate them as humans and players, right? And get the most out of them. But really, I mean, Bless was spoiled of riches this season and previous seasons with again kids that have been developed with quality coaches and programs over the many years. This year, right? I mean, we're represented with SYC, we're represented with Alexandria, Arlington, and Dorados, and so really those four clubs are critical in the success that technically these boys come together, right? And then you mix that in with the pride of playing in front of your schoolmates, right? And wearing the honor of being a ranked team by the Washington Post and by you, and being able to continue to search for perfection, right? I mean, an 18-0-1 record is freaking unbelievable, considering where this program was and has been. This is just a once in a lifetime run. But each year kids continue to develop with these clubs in the fall and in the summer, and really come wanting to make an impact and wanting to kind of keep this consistency going. And so that's kind of what we're striving for, right? Is to keep the wheel turning. And we're seeing that with some really growth in our sophomores and our junior class that are going to hopefully be able to continue to represent us well next year.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you think in years past you've had these kind of players in the building? Do you think other majority minority schools have these type of players that soccer's so much part of the culture and the families love it? Do you think they've always been there? It's just a matter of getting a program on a platform where folks want to be involved in it?
Yeah, so I mean, our program really turned in 2016, when we were able to reach those. We had two unique players, Andy Mensa and Christopher McGann, who played on a really high level Springfield team, and their freshman and sophomore year did not come out to high school. But we had finally turned the program from a team struggling to get some victories under the belt to about a 500 club, and the boys had worked hard to really kind of recruit them to come out and really dip their toe in the water. And that year in 2016, we made our first regional appearance under my watch, and we had to travel down to Albemarle, who was a big workhorse in the Class 5 division structure at the time, but that first taste really turned it a little bit. And so these boys ever since then felt the energy of the crowd, felt how much the school cared about the success of the program and wanted to be a part of it. And I think we've done a really good job, and really the ability to outreach inside the school, since I don't work in the building, comes down to the players talking to their friends. telling them what they're missing, telling them how much fun it is. And, we do a really, we focus hard on making sure there's a nice balance, where we care about the workload that these boys put in, because they do have competitive club that we respect, and, want to make sure that they're able to perform at the max level for whatever they want to commit to. We're able to rest players because there is depth in this team when needed. Obviously now we're in super competitive week, so hopefully that's not needed at this moment. But yeah, man, it's really important to have boys that care, and these boys care so much, and they want to really represent their school to the nth degree.
Would you say you have very, very high percentage of the players in the school now on the team? I mean, I remember even when my son played at Yorktown, as good as we were, there were still several kids in the building that could have helped us that didn't play. And so
Right.
it happens at most schools. My sense is, Lewis, now you're probably getting almost all the kids who really want to play. And if they're not, they're probably coming to you 2 weeks later and say, Coach, is it too late for me to jump on board?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk. Before we get to yesterday's game, let's talk about, have you learned how to be a better coach in the postseason because you've had so much experience with it lately? Do you feel, when you coach club soccer, you do these little tournaments where there's only 6 teams in a bracket, you may win a cup and you feel great, get pictures taken on social media, and it's great. But it's nothing like what you have to do in high school, the long road which you have to take to get to the state tournament. Have you learned about coaching in the postseason? And do you coach postseason games much differently? Do you coach regular season?
I personally don't try to coach any differently. We've done a good job this year approaching each game one game at a time, not looking down the road, not looking at anything other than the next opponent, and just trying to be that methodical. The staff, we really focus in on not only kind of understanding the competition, but also where our boys are at health wise, to make sure that we can, again, put them in the most prone position to be successful. I guess, at the end of the day, that the postseason coaching, right? I mean, everybody knows how important these games are, right? I mean, you could be undefeated going in, and like we did 2 years ago, we won the regular season. We were the number 1 seed, but we lost to the 8 seed in the district tournament, right?
Oh, that's
And
right.
luckily we were in one of those weird years where they were changing from. It was so strange, but everybody, got lucky to make the regional tournament, right? And we were able to pick ourselves up from that, embarrassing loss, and took it and lost to West Potomac in the finals, and ended up losing to Langley, the eventual state champion, in the state quarters in a hell of a match. So, I mean, this year has just been able to just one game at a time mentality. And so it's the exact same way in the postseason, but we all know the massive mountain that's in front of us here with Herndon coming up.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be an epic battle. And also hats off to the Occoquan region. I've been very critical of the way they, especially the Patriot District, structures their postseason, all these buys, and it's all complicated. I'm all for the 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, but the fact they gave us these double headers was amazing. That was a great atmosphere last night. When you get double headers and get 2 games for the price of 1, you can create kind of a festival atmosphere. That was the way sports were when I was a kid. Hats off to the Occoquan region for putting that together. And it was just, anyone who was there last night left with a smile on their face. And unless your kid, his team lost. Well, let's talk a bit about Woodson. Now, I've seen Woodson play this year. But I realize now that Coach Burke didn't have all his best players on the field when I saw him play. He's a little bit tricky. I know he definitely hides the ball. But if I have to analyze Woodson and Lewis, and this is a lot of this after the fact because I've already seen them play, they're a very dangerous team. They have guys that can really hurt you, but they're willing to let you guys have possession. They were unwilling. They were unable to really keep possession against you guys. You guys probably had 70, 80% of possession, I would think. But I don't think they had just as many dangerous opportunities, but your goalie had to make a couple big saves and definitely made a save early in the game. So
Yeah.
they're dangerous in their own way. How would you analyze the Woodson team, and what did you think about them coming in?
Oh man, so Coach Burke is always a very tough out, and he makes you earn any sort of result that you can get against one of his teams. Great coach, and he runs a really awesome program over there, and he has done that his whole career in coaching. Um, I think they were incredibly organized, and you know that going in against a Coach Burke team, defensive minded first. And if you slip, if you fall asleep, their counterattack is a quick 1-2 KO. And they freaking fought and clawed and battled the entire match last night and made us earn everything that came our way. They're number 9, they're number 13 are track stars up there, and really are dangerous weapons, especially off the boot of their keeper, who is instrumental on kind of that counterattack distribution. Number 23 Jack in the middle. We told the boys beforehand, we have to be smart. We can't give up stupid fouls in the defensive third, because this guy will make you pay. You saw that in the semifinals against Lake Braddock. Our goalie had to make a heck of a save in the first half on one of those dangerous set piece plays when Jack got it around a 5-man wall, and Jason was able to push it wide. But hats off to them. They've had a heck of a season. They finished the regular season number 1. They ran into a tough opponent in Alexandria City in the semifinals of their district, but they kept fighting, and now they're in the state tournament. As an alumni of Woodson, it's great to see them back in the state tournament, and see them going to be going up against a stiff McLean competition. But knowing Sean, he's going to have something gamed up to really give them everything that they have to fight for. And so it's been an honor to play against him and coach against him. And the team has fight within them, and they're going to have an opportunity here on Tuesday to keep fighting and get down to Richmond, and hopefully we can match up again in the final.
Yeah, they definitely have a great matchup with McLean. Teams are very similar. They both have very dangerous wing players, Margita, Alex Garrison. They both have, very well organized in the back, even though McLean's a 3-man back. That's an intriguing matchup as well. I definitely think the game, the showdown game of Herndon is Lewis is where most people are going to want to go watch, at least the neutrals. So I want to talk about your midfielder, Maud El Sahir. Is that his name?
Ezahir, yeah.
Ezahir.
Ezahir.
Yeah. He's an incredible player. He's an American signee. He's a very skilled player. And he's a tireless worker on defense, wins a lot of balls effortlessly, not even a slide tackle. He gets his feet on things. But the thing I really like about him is sometimes it's just his basic, simple distribution to the side. He keeps the ball moving. He doesn't do too much. When you have great attacking players, sometimes they're a little bit selfish, and we want them because they want to score. They want to be the man. Mohad is a guy that keeps everybody happy. Talk about what he means to the team.
Yeah, Moed's one of our 4 captains. This is his 3rd year with the program. And each year he's just been, continuing his development and, command of the midfield. I know for his club team, he is a critical component. And obviously that performances for his club program have elevated him to get, the opportunity to go play at American. He's great inside the classroom. He's a bubbly kid that really attracts people to him, and really wants to play with him and play hard for him, and he reciprocates that right with his work ethic. You see that on the field. He's constantly trying to be first to the ball. He's constantly running and working off the ball, and making the secondary runs, whether he gets that ball or not. He's moving players, like a chess player on there, right? He's moving folks out of the middle, creating space for the other dangerous weapons to get in there, and that effort and that work ethic off the ball really makes him just an incredibly dangerous and important component for our success. He's got 10 goals on the season. He had 2 goals against Alexandria City that were critical in us clinching that state berth. Again, he can win the ball in the air. He's incredibly technical, and defensively, he just puts up a really strong front. Where it's an honor to have him representing the school as a captain. And he's going to do great things when he goes to play as an American.
There's no doubt about that. One thing I'll say about this team, I've seen you play live 2 times, and both times you were scored on first. In both games, you came right back and scored right away. That says a lot about a character of a team. That when they get scored upon, even though they've been missing opportunities, they haven't made that dangerous pass. When they know they need it, they come back and get it right away. So it's 2 for 2 that I've seen you guys play. Elias Rodriguez just put up, it was a golazo. I don't even know how he got the shot off. I don't know how he got that across the goalie, but that was a huge moment for you to get right back into the game.
Massive, massive. And I wish we would stop making it a habit as of late to get in that position, conceding the first goal. But a way this team fights in response to those challenges, right? As you indicated, right? It's a representation of their culture and their character, right? To forever fight, to continue to dig. It's Lewis against the world mentality inside our locker room. And these guys are the ethos of that. They just represent the school and that mantra so well. We always talk about working towards big things, and each opportunity we have now in the season is a bigger and bigger opportunity. And so it never speaks more true than right now. Last night was a big step in the right direction, right? But we know our job's not done. With Elias's goal, it was, he's a both-footed kind of player. The last 2 goals he's had for us have been on his left foot. And he really just, he creates that uncertainty for the goalie because you never know when he's going to pull the trigger. Sometimes, as you just indicated, right, that the forward kind of holds it a little too long in the attacking third, and you wish he wouldn't look for the perfect shot, freaking just anything he can to get contact on the ball because it would go in because the situation and the space he puts himself in. But man, he's an asset for this team. Last year was the first team all-state player, all region, all district. This year, he's got first team all region, all district. Got 16 goals on the year, and he's definitely an impact player for us.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you had to go to Sam Reyes early because of injury, and had a great game. Cools, Cucumber in the midfield. Him and Moad connect really well with simple passes, keeps the distribution going, made the winning goal, had an amazing game. Did you know going in he'd have a big role, and did it surprise you how well he played?
Definitely didn't surprise. He's a great player. Again, we benefit because we have these 4 strong clubs, and last night was kind of the epitome of that. So all of these boys play for SYC in the middle of our park. So they are trained to really move the ball and their movements off the ball. What they work on all year round, we're able to employ that here. And so he fit right on in because he's played with these guys forever growing up, and was able to really be instrumental. And so we had some tired legs there at the end of the match. We took out our 10, Ermias Youssef, moved Sam up into the 10, and put Brian Lopez in number 23 at the 6. And because our normal 6, Emerson Martinez, wasn't available for the game last night. And he picked right on up. Again, versatile piece of the pie. We can move folks around in that middle. And he was in the right place at the right time with a critical scissor finish, with pressure on, getting bodied by their center back in a huge moment with less than 5 minutes to play. I don't think he woke up yesterday thinking that he would score the game-winning goal in the regional final, but if he did, man, he's a Mensa. And we're excited to see his growth inside the program and what he can contribute as we go forward.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, did the player that come out, was it concussion protocol, or you just let Sam go in there and get comfortable?
So we went through the concussion protocol. He was cleared to play, but we were kind of getting into a groove and didn't want to really upset that and see what developed. But Brian was available to go in should we needed him.
Oh, great. No, was that right that Arnold Reyes doesn't always play the right back, and he went back there and did a super job on Alex Garrison? He's not always a right back. Is that true?
Correct. So Arnold's been a 4-year varsity player. He's one of the 2 guys with us that won regions and districts in his freshman year, and we lost to First Colonial in the state final his freshman year. So he's got a chip on his shoulders because he's got 2 finals losses in his Rolodex. So we're trying to drive towards that and fix that for him. But yeah, he is just another versatile piece, right? We talked about spoiled of riches because for the last 3 years, he's been our 10. We kind of play him as a Griezmann player, and he's the maestro that finds that final pass into the attackers. And this year we were able to, at the beginning of the season, start him at the right back because of his movement off the ball, because of his ability to get involved in the attack, but also play lockdown defense. Due to some injuries over the season, Dennis has been coming in and playing right back for about 10 games, and Arnold's been playing more in the attack. But this game, with Alex on that side, with Arnold's experience in massive matches, we felt that it was appropriate to have him over there to really try to be instrumental in not only just disrupting the distribution to Alex, but also keeping up with him and containing him as much as possible, because he's obviously a great player.
I think he did a great job of guarding him without fouling, and I don't think he fouled him one time. And I think he did a great job. It was definitely a key to the game. But you got great performances from so many people. I did want to talk about your goalie. Is that Rykar Sierra Garcia?
No, that's Jason Rios.
Jason Rios. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought now he has big shoes to fill, because for some reason you just have so many you have lots of great goalies at that building. But I thought he had a really strong game yesterday. I thought he made 2 saves in the last 5 minutes to keep the game out of overtime. Did you agree with me that he had one of his stronger games?
Massive game, and so he let up a pretty soft goal against Alexandria City, one that he makes 9.75%, 9.75 out of 10 times he's making that save. And so before the match, I said, you owe me a massive match to pick us up from giving away a clean sheet in the semis. And man, did he step up. We had an errant square ball, didn't get first to the pass, and they caught us on a counterattack, and he made a point blank save in the first minute of the game that could have totally changed the dynamic. And as soon as I saw that, I knew he was on. And then as we talked about, he made a great save on Jack's free kick. He made some massive saves going down at the end. And I was talking to my wife earlier, I'm still shaking over that crossbar that they hit with probably about 2 minutes left in the game. It's still ringing in my ears. But yeah, just hats off to Jason, his calm demeanor. Jason was Byron's backup as a freshman, so he got to witness these last 4 years, played 2 years as a backup, and has been our starter for the last 2 years. And his growth this year has just been immense. He's a critical part of our distribution, and our team is very confident when he's between the pipes for us.
Yeah. Well, Coach, you win the game, win the region, get the hardware that you didn't get last year, I believe, and you have a date with Herndon. Now that game is at Lewis. Is that correct, Coach?
Correct. 7:00 on Tuesday.
Now, Lewis is a very narrow pitch. When you're on the track there, I'm taking photographers. You realize that, because you're right.
Yep.
You're right there on the game. Is that a factor? I mean, like yesterday, it was a more standard. I think it was a pretty standard soccer width. But when you play at Lewis, is that an advantage? You guys are kind of used to a narrow pitch.
I don't look at it that way. I mean, obviously, you go from Lewis to Westfield or Lewis to Washington Liberty. It's like, or Yorktown. It's just like, you obviously notice the 10 yards of width that you don't have at home. Playing against a team like Herndon, obviously, everybody knows about their throw-ins. That's going to change the dynamic of this game. And so we have to be ready to be first to the ball and challenge everything and not give them any sort of reasons to win that first ball, which is going to be a battle in itself, right? I mean, because throw-ins are part of the game. It's going to happen, so we have to be prepared. So, that I think is the first thing that jumps out to me, playing at home versus Herndon. Last year at this exact moment, we went to Herndon.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. So this is a rematch of the state quarters last year. And so, we know that they're thinking about that too. And so we have to be ready to respond and be able to play our game and be able to defend the things that are thrown our way, because they have a very quality side and we've got to match it up 1 for 1.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't realize that you guys played last year, and both teams were young. They had some lots of players that are back, so they know each other really well. What was the score of last year's game?
It was a 1-1 draw, and then we won on penalties.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who scored the goals?
I think O2 scored and Elias scored.
Oh my God, this is going to be an incredible rematch.
Yeah.
I had no idea, you guys. It's too bad for the first round of state we can't scramble it up and play folks other parts of the state, but I guess I could play in,
I think that actually rotates next year. I think
okay.
we play Region B
Yeah,
next
I know
year.
in basketball they changed it this year, and I don't know if they did that in football. So, Coach, yesterday when I was watching the game, um, I was thinking, these matchups are very, very unique, and you may want to play a McLean team rather than a Herndon, or you may rather play a Herndon team rather than a McLean. It just depends on what you have in your personnel. But as a coach, you can't think about that, right? You have to just try to win the hardware. You can't worry about the next matchup. You just try to win every game's in front of you. Is that correct?
Especially now, right? I mean, at the end of the day, all these teams are here for a reason. They're quality programs. Nobody's lucked their way into this tournament. And so, again, you got to play who's in front of you. Now it's our job as on our staff, right, to put the team in the right position. But I think our boys are ready for that challenge. They step up for the opportunity to compete and compete against high level talent. I'm excited about that for these guys. Because it's going to be a match, no matter whether it was McLean or Herndon. Both programs are historic, have been on great runs and building, as we're trying to do, right, building towards the bigger things. And so, somebody on Tuesday has to go home, and we're going to put ourselves in the best position to make sure it's not us.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, I'm not going to ask you to look ahead at any opponents, but I did want to ask you, are you excited that this state tournament, should you advance, there's going to be some travel and you may end up with a night stay in Richmond? I guess from Lee, that could be a day trip. But is that exciting to you that there could be some travel in the state tournament instead of going to Loudoun County?
I think sticking with the mantra, we're just thinking about Tuesday.
Yeah.
There's can't really see that far away, right? I mean, Tuesday's life or death. It's really cool, and we shared this with the boys yesterday. To be able to play this next week, right? To have a practice on Monday, hopefully be practicing on Wednesday and Thursday, because nobody else has the opportunity to do that, right? I mean, all of their friends are at home playing video games. Well, these guys are out training and getting better as a group, and so it's a great honor, but it's also a big responsibility, right? To make it count. And so these guys are ready to rock on Tuesday, and that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Exactly. Well, you had a huge crowd for the Annandale game. Annandale brought a lot of people over, and I know Herndon's very well supported. I wonder if you'll set any records for attendance in this game. I bet you most of that stadium will have people in it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. We've had great support this year as previous years as well, but it's really built up. The administration has done a good job reaching out to the local feeder schools, and that's really kind of gotten some younger eyes into the crowd. Parents bringing out their kids, but also as this run has gone on, more and more folks are coming out, and we're really going to benefit with the 7 p.m. kick rather than the 6 or the 5:45, because that's seems to be a little bit trickier to get folks into the building. Hopefully with that extra hour, we'll make sure the stands are nice and packed and create that Lewis home field advantage that we're going to need in order to carry it across the finish line.
Yeah. Hey, John, I often see a redheaded girl who's a ball girl for a team. That wouldn't happen to be your daughter, would it?
Oh yeah, it definitely is. That's my 11-year-old Maddie Millward. She comes to life when it comes down to playoff time. So she feels that she really wants to be part of the action. She loves soccer, and so she's one of the many ball girls that we have out there. But especially when there's lacking ball girls, she's willing to step up.
It's interesting because she acted like she knew me, and I guess she's probably seen us interview because I was wondering. I was like, I wonder if that's coach's daughter. Because I was talking to her a little bit at the end of the game. She's got a wonderful personality. Well, Coach, look, congratulations again. Thanks for doing the interview. I'm so happy for the Lewis community. This is great for Northern Virginia soccer. We have these huge, great programs with awesome players who are choosing to play for the high school. And I think Tuesday we have two great local rivalries, matchups, and then also on the girls' side, two games as well. Two teams that are probably considered dark horses going against two traditional powers. So I think we have four great games. Hopefully, people will come out and support all these teams. And again, congratulations to your wonderful administration and all the players and the parents. It's a treat to go to the state tournament. I remember when my own son went, my sister went in high school. I'll never forget, all those moments. I never went as a player, but I felt like I was part of it because they were in it. So congratulations again, and just thanks for doing it. And I hope you guys play your best and do everything you can do to achieve all your goals.
Much appreciated, Julian, and thanks again for what you do to promote the sport, and promote the audience. These guys really love the coverage, and you do great things for the area, man. So keep it up. Let's go Lancers.
Yeah, thanks for saying. I have a lot of fun. It makes me feel like in some small way I'm part of it. So anyway, Coach, I will definitely see you on Tuesday.
All right, man. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.
All right, appreciate it, Coach. Thanks.